I'm 41 years old, married to Claire for 12 years. We have two kids, a house in the suburbs, and what I thought was a normal life. On the surface, everything looked fine: work, family, weekend routines, soccer practice, grocery runs, minor arguments that felt ordinary in a long term marriage. I thought we had stability. I thought I had a marriage built on trust, love, and years of shared experience. My dad is 64, divorced, and always had this magnetic, larger than life personality. Women always liked him. People tend to trust him automatically. Growing up, I idolized him. I excused his mistakes, laughed at his flaws, defended him when my mom left, and even brushed off moments that should have made me uneasy. I believed family was sacred, loyalty unbreakable. Claire had always told me he made her uncomfortable, that he overstepped boundaries, and I dismissed it as paranoia or oversensitivity. Before everything changed, I worried about mundane things like bills, work stress, and whether my son would make the baseball team. Betrayal was a story in books or TV shows, not real life. I never thought it would happen to me. Now, my wife barely talks to me. My father calls constantly, showing up in ways that make my stomach turn. I feel like the foundation of my identity has been ripped away. I don't recognize the life I built. I don't know who I am without them. Every normal day feels impossible, like I'm walking on broken glass, unsure if I'll bleed emotionally or survive. I thought my family was my safe place. I was wrong. When Claire and I first started dating, she was always a little shy around my dad. She'd smile politely at his jokes, laugh at the things I thought were forced, and stick close to me at gatherings. I thought it was cute, protective almost. My dad, on the other hand, went out of his way to charm her, complimenting her cooking, making unnecessary remarks about her looks, saying things like, "You're too beautiful for him," in a joking way that felt off. He hugged her longer than necessary. I noticed. I wanted to say something, but I told myself I was being insecure, imagining things. After we got married, my dad became a constant presence. He lived nearby, dropped by unannounced, helped with house projects, watched the kids sometimes. Claire started confiding in him about stress, about motherhood, about feeling lost or overwhelmed. At first, I thought it was harmless, maybe even good for her to have another adult to talk to. But I noticed patterns, subtle ones, small glances, inside jokes, texts she would hide when I entered the room. The first real red flag came 5 years ago. I walked into the kitchen and found Claire crying, my dad holding her hand like he was comforting her in a way that felt too intimate. She jumped away as if burned. "I was just venting," she said quickly. He laughed softly, comparing her sensitivity to my mom's. I felt a pit in my stomach, but I stayed quiet. I wanted to trust, to believe nothing was happening, so I ignored the warning signs. That was my first big mistake. Over time, the signs became impossible to miss. Claire started dressing differently when my dad came over. Not overtly, but she wore clothes and styled her hair in ways I hadn't seen at home before, as if consciously presenting herself. She suddenly volunteered to do favors for him, like picking him up from the store or taking his dog for walks. They spent long hours together walking in the neighborhood, talking about things I wasn't included in. I told myself it was healthy, that I was just paranoid, that this was adult bonding. But deep down, a cold sense of dread kept creeping in. Once I caught them whispering in the garage. When they saw me, they jumped apart. Another time, I saw a text flash on her phone. "Thinking about you." No name, no clue who it was. When I asked, she said it was a coworker who was having a rough day. I wanted to check the phone, but I didn't. I told myself if I had to spy, the marriage was already broken, so I stayed silent. That silence allowed the situation to fester. I noticed every lingering glance, every small touch, every smile that lingered too long. I grew obsessed with it, but I also tried to convince myself it was nothing. I wanted to trust my wife. I wanted to believe she loved me. But my instincts kept whispering the truth I refused to hear. Gradually, Claire became distant with me. Not outright cold, just absent. Conversations became superficial, future plans avoided. She stopped saying we, stopped seeking me out. But around my dad, she lit up. Her laughter became lighter, her smiles more genuine. One night, I overheard her on the phone in the bedroom, whispering, almost pleading, I know we shouldn't, but I can't stop thinking about you. My stomach dropped. I froze, my mind racing. She noticed me outside the door, hung up, and lied immediately. It was my sister. I knew she was lying. My blood ran cold. I felt helpless. I wanted to confront them both, demand the truth, rip it out of them, but I was terrified of what I might uncover. And so I did nothing. I allowed the fear and denial to grow inside me, knowing every day that something was happening behind my back. The silence and inaction were destroying me from within, poisoning every memory, every smile we had shared, every moment I thought we were happy. The real turning point came with something small, stupid, and mundane, a hotel receipt I found in Claire's jeans pocket, 2 hours away, on a weekday afternoon. My hands shook as I held it. She said she was visiting a friend, refused to show me her phone. That's when I knew. Not suspected. Knew. My mind went blank, my heart racing. That night, I replayed every interaction, every hug, every laugh, every time my dad checked in on her. I felt sick imagining the truth. The idea that my wife and my father could be together consumed me, and I wanted to push it away, but I couldn't. Every instinct screamed at me, yet I tried to convince myself it wasn't real, but I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat, I couldn't stop seeing the truth in flashes. I knew ignorance had ended, denial was useless, and my life as I knew it would never exist again. Every familiar object, every shared memory suddenly felt contaminated, tainted by what I hadn't wanted to know. 2 weeks later, I came home early from work. The house was too quiet, the kind of quiet that immediately set my nerves on fire. My dad's truck was in the driveway, and a cold dread settled in my stomach like a stone. I climbed the stairs slowly, each step feeling heavier than the last, and then I heard laughter from the bedroom. My chest tightened, my heart pounding like a drum I couldn't control. I peeked through the slightly open door and saw Claire sitting on the bed, my dad standing in front of her, his hand on her face. Her eyes closed. I froze for a second, unable to breathe. Then instinct kicked in and I pushed the door open. "What the fuck is this?" I shouted. They jumped apart like kids caught doing something wrong. Claire screamed. My dad went pale. She kept saying, I'm sorry, over and over, and he muttered, "It's not what it looks like," but I laughed, bitter and hollow, because it was exactly what it looked like. I demanded to know how long this had been going on. Silence. Then my dad whispered, almost apologetically, "About 3 years. 3 years." My mind went blank. I felt detached, like I was watching my life explode from the outside. The people I trusted most, my wife and my father, were betraying me in the worst way imaginable. Everything I believed about family, loyalty, and love shattered in that instant, leaving nothing but rubble. I don't remember exactly what I said or did next. I screamed, I threw a lamp, I told my dad to shut the fuck up multiple times. Claire tried to reach for me, crying, but I told her never, ever to touch me again. They started explaining, trying to justify it, to calm me down. Emotional support turned into texting, coffee meetings, kissing, and then full-blown sex. They said they loved each other. I asked Claire if she loved him. She nodded. That single gesture made me want to vomit, rage and despair colliding in my chest. My dad, the man who taught me to ride a bike, to respect women, the man I looked up to my entire life, had slept with my wife. I punched him. I didn't care if it was wrong. That night I realized that some people are capable of unimaginable betrayal, and some bonds, no matter how close or sacred they seem, are not unbreakable. My home became a battlefield, my family a pile of ashes. The life I thought I had built was gone, replaced by shock, disgust, and grief. I could barely breathe, barely comprehend the magnitude of what had just happened. The following days were a blur of emptiness and chaos. I didn't go to work, barely ate, slept on the couch, unable to face the bedroom that had been desecrated by betrayal. Claire tried to talk, pleaded with me, but I ignored her. My dad left dozens of voicemails. I deleted them all without listening. My kids asked why their mom was always crying, why Grandpa never came over anymore, and I couldn't give them an honest answer. Claire eventually cornered me in the kitchen, tear-streaked and desperate, saying she never meant for it to happen, that my dad understood her in ways I couldn't. I asked if she would stop seeing him, and when she hesitated, I knew the truth, without a word being spoken. I told her I wanted a separation. She begged, promised to cut all contact, but I didn't believe her. Trust had died, completely. My dad had done this deliberately. He had chosen her, and chosen to destroy our family. That knowledge burned inside me like acid, hollowing me out from the inside. Every day I woke up feeling like I was barely existing, trapped in a nightmare I couldn't escape, haunted by memories that now carried poison instead of warmth. I moved into a small apartment nearby. The kids stay with me on weekends. Claire acts normal around them, but I can't look at her without seeing her in my bed with my father. Therapy helps a little. Mostly it gives me a safe place to cry in front of a stranger. I lost weight, sleep very little, and every memory of our marriage feels contaminated. Wedding days, vacations, holidays. Were they together then? Probably. I later found out they took trips together, claiming work conferences as excuses. Hotels, gifts, dinners I didn't know about. I recognized the necklace she always wore. He bought it, not me. That crushed what little self-esteem I had left. I replay every moment, imagining how I could have stopped it, how I could have prevented this. I know it's irrational. Guilt doesn't care about logic. My life is ruined. My family's ruined. Every day I wake up to reminders of what they did, and there's no escape. I want to scream, but my voice doesn't reach anyone. The world moves on, while I'm trapped in this horror. Some family members know, and they're divided. My aunt says, "Your dad is still your father." My uncle says, "Men make mistakes." My cousin says, "You should forgive, think of the kids." No one tells my dad he's wrong. I am the one expected to be the bigger person. I hate it. I've cut off almost everyone. Silence feels safer. Claire claims she ended it. I don't believe her. Even if she did, it wouldn't matter. She crossed a line that can't be uncrossed. I fantasize about moving far away, starting over, changing my name, erasing the past. But I can't abandon my kids. They are the only reason I still stand, the only tether I have left. Every day is a battle with myself, every night a replay of their betrayal. I feel small, weak, broken, and trapped in a life I no longer recognize. My dad finally showed up at my apartment, unannounced. I almost called the police, my blood still boiling. He cried, something I had never seen before, and said he was lonely, that he made a terrible mistake, that he loved me. I asked him how he could look at me every day while sleeping with my wife. He had no answer. I told him he is dead to me. I meant it. He begged, pleaded, tried to explain, but I didn't care. Some things can't be fixed. Some bonds don't deserve repair. I don't feel closure, just emptiness. My father, the man I looked up to my entire life, has become someone I cannot forgive, cannot reconcile with, cannot even feel affection for. The wound is permanent, and the knowledge of his betrayal is something I will carry with me forever. I feel hollow, like someone scooped out my chest and left nothing behind but pain. Claire keeps asking if there's any chance we can reconcile. I don't say no, but I don't say yes either because I honestly don't know. I love who I thought she was, but I hate who she actually is. It's exhausting. Divorce mediation starts soon. Saying the word divorce feels like admitting complete failure. I feel ashamed, like I wasn't enough, like I drove her into his arms. My therapist says that's bullshit, but some days I believe her. Some days I don't. I wanted a normal, boring marriage, a life with stability and trust. I don't get that. I don't know if I'll ever feel safe again. Every attempt at hope crashes against the reality of their betrayal. Every familiar face, every place in my home, every memory feels poisoned. I barely recognize myself anymore. The kids sense everything. They ask why grandpa doesn't visit, why mom cries. I tell them we're taking a break. I don't know how I'll explain it when they're older. I dread that conversation. I dread becoming the man who has to explain that their mother and grandfather betrayed him in the worst way imaginable. I try to be gentle, present, consistent, even while I'm barely holding it together. Um, some nights I sit alone in my apartment, staring at the walls, thinking about what life used to be and what's been taken from me. I wonder if I'll ever feel normal again. Other nights I can barely breathe. My existence feels paused, suspended in constant pain, watching the world move around me while I remain trapped in memories that feel like torture. People say time heals all wounds. It doesn't. Time has made the pain less sharp, but more dull and constant, like a background ache that never stops. I don't miss my dad. I miss the idea of having a father. I don't miss my marriage. I miss believing I was safe, that love and loyalty existed in my home. Trust is gone. Anger, sadness, numbness, they exist in me simultaneously, or sometimes not at all. Life is a gray blur. Therapy, work, kids, none of it changes the core wounds. Some nights I can almost forget, but then a memory, a glance, a phrase, a text, and it comes crashing back. Time hasn't healed me. It's just taught me how to live with a wound that will never close. I'm sharing this because I have nowhere else to put it. I don't want advice. I don't want people telling me to be strong. I'm tired of being strong. I wanted a normal life, a boring marriage, a decent dad. I didn't get that. The people closest to you have the power to hurt you the most. Love doesn't guarantee loyalty. Blood doesn't guarantee decency. If your gut is screaming, listen. I wish I had. My wife fell in love with my father. My life will never be the same. I don't know if I'll forgive, if I'll trust again, if I'll ever feel safe. I don't know how to explain this to my kids, how to carry the weight of these memories, how to live with this pain. I just know it's real, it's mine, and it doesn't go away. Thanks for letting me get this off my chest.